Today I want to start talking about the Rodney Dangerfield pop culture doll. Kind of got a couple cool stories with this. But I've been a lifelong Rodney Dangerfield fan. I still, go on YouTube and look up his, appearances on Carson and his stand-up. I just think he's one of the funniest guys ever, and I was just fortunate that I got a chance to talk to him a bunch and meet him. So when we were doing pop culture, I decided I wanted to do a comedian. I thought if I'm going to do a comedian, I'm going to do Rodney. I mean, to me, he was the best. And, so I was, I didn't know how to get in touch with Rodney. So I kind of used my contacts, called in some favors with different people. I checked with Warner Brothers and Sony and different studios and stuff to try to get his number with no luck. I think it was a guy named Mort Viner who was Dean Martin's business manager, because I was working on the Dean Martin doll at the time. I'm pretty sure Mort was the one that gave me his personal number. So I remember the first time I called Rodney, it was I was in China. I was in a factory in southern China, in Guangdong, China somewhere, and because he told me to call him late at night. So I called him, and it was hard to hear him, and he was kind of out of it, and but I talked to him. I told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the doll, and he liked the idea, but he just kept saying, just don't screw me, man. Just don't screw me. Everybody screws me. And I'm going, no, Rodney, I'm not going to screw you. I mean, we'll do a good deal that's fair for both of us, and and he told me at that point that I needed to call him like after my time, 1 in the morning, or like after midnight, because he kind of lived the life of a comedian still. He slept all day and was awake all night. And so I had several calls with him where I'd call him, I'd be up like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, my time. I'd get up, set my alarm, and call him, and kind of hash out the details. One thing I put 11 minutes of his stand-up from one of his albums in there, because I knew I needed, in all the pop culture, we didn't re-record any of the songs. We used the original voice, and that gets expensive. That's another license. There's no song license here, but there's still the publishing rights for his material through the record company, and also his voice. Excuse me. But we decided to, we worked it out, so we just made it just one license to him, and, so one license just covered everything. So finally it got to the point the doll was done, and I needed to get approval from him. So, I go to LA at that point, like 2 or 3 times a year, working with the different studios, either just going for approvals or just to meet with their creative team, or sometimes they will hold, Fox or Warner Brothers or Disney or, Lucas would hold, seminars, about, for all the licensors, where they tell you what's upcoming and, all the different things you need to know. So I was there for one other reason. I wasn't there just for the Rodney doll, but then I had the doll with me, and he gave me his address. So I went to his, he had like the top floor in an apartment complex, condo or apartment, whatever, but he had the whole top floor in Beverly Hills. And I had the president of our company was there with me too. I think we must have been there for Disney or something. He joined me. And so we went into his, we went up to his apartment. The doorman let us in. The masseuse let us in his door of his apartment, and there's Rodney sitting at his table watching Monday Night Football, no shirt. He's got this big bag of weed in front of him, and he's like sorting out C's or whatever he's doing. And it just kind of hit me at that point. Rodney wasn't out of it. He wasn't like because he was old that he was he was stoned probably every time I talked to him, and that kind of bore out later when I finished the story, but. So he asked, if we wanted some, and obviously I couldn't do it. I'm with the president of my company. So at that point, so he looked at the doll, and his wife came in, and she was like, she's only 30 years younger than him, but she was nice, and she was very nice, and she was beautiful, and just a very nice person. And, she kept on, make sure you get the eyes right, make sure you get the eyes right. But then at that point, he invited us to his 82nd, I think it was 81st or 82nd birthday party the next day. He was introducing it turned out to be his last movie, The Fourth Tenor. And it was just like a premiere, red carpet. You go to the movie, and then at the end, you have a reception for his birthday. And so, I don't remember if we were supposed to stay the next night, but we're not going to turn that down. So we went to it. So we get to the movie theater, and there's just like a who's who of comedians there. It's like Jay Leno, Brad Garrett, Louie Anderson, Dom Irrera. I can't even think of some of the names, but it was just like for the late 90s, early 2000s, all the popular comedians were, were there. So then Hugh Hefner was there, and he had like 5 blonde girlfriends, all in the same pink outfits. They took up like a whole row at the movie theater. And then afterwards, we went to his party, and he all these comedians would get up and talk about, Rodney and how Rodney liked to get stoned. And, they're talking about Rodney's life. Rodney talked for a little bit, but it was kind of surreal. I remember that whole night, we didn't know anybody. So we ended up talking to the guy who it was one of the guys in the Porky's movies. He was in all 3 Porky's movies. And he's talking about how he's going to get a script published and stuff. It was all this Hollywood talk, and of course, he probably never got a script published. But it was just a surreal night. It was great to meet Ryan. It was great to see all those comedians. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of out of the story. But here's like the movie, The Fourth Tenor. Here's like I saved this, for the night of the movie. It was a horrible movie. Rodney was just like a shell of himself, and it really wasn't very good. I mean, he do all his silly gyrations and stuff, but his dialogue was very scant. And but they also gave us a bottle of wine, or hey, he had a wine line. And so a couple years ago, my wife and I decided, well, let's open up the wines. I think some wine gets better with time. We didn't think this would. We had a couple sips, and it was freaking horrible. So we dumped it out. I think I still got the bottles somewhere. So that's my Rodney Dangerfield story. It's a pretty good story. I got the chance to meet one of my idols. And I got to meet just a bunch of other, comedians from the time period. So that's it. Thanks.